In 5 days' time, the Premier League is back, and I have got the unfortunate task of trying to predict every single position. Now, I tried this last year and it failed miserably. I predicted Norwich to stay up. I predicted Arsenal under Unai Emery to do well, and we all know how that. Uh, we all know how that finished up, don't we? So it'll be interesting looking back on this in May and seeing just how wrong or just how right I really was. So that being said, let's start from the bottom and work our way up. I've gone for West Brom. They've just come up from the Championship. They're under Slaven Bilic now, a very different West Brom team from the last time we saw West Brom. However, they haven't really signed many good players. Yes, they've just signed Danganga from West Ham, much to the uproar of most of the West Ham players the um, and the fans, of course. But that's a player who they already had last season. They haven't really improved much from their side, and I feel like you don't want to change the side too much. However, you don't want to just not make any signings because then you are just being a championship team. That is literally just the team that brought you up. You need to do it. You need to make some core improvements. Charlie Austin at striker. Yes, he can do a job. Yes, he was very good against Arsenal, but that in the past. But there's a reason why Southampton let him go to West Brom because he wasn't up to Premier League standard, and I don't feel like he will give you the goals, and his injury record is absolutely abysmal, and I just don't think they have enough firepower to stay in this league. So that's why I'm predicting West Brom to finish rock bottom, 20th place. I've gone for Aston Villa. Yes, they stayed in the Premier League last season, but Dean Smith, yes, he did a great job last year to keep them up. He just kept them up by the skin of his teeth. But let's be real honest here. If the VAR was turned on and the Hawkeye was turned on against Sheffield United, Aston Villa would have got 0 points instead of 1 against Sheffield United, and that 1 point kept them up, and it sent Bournemouth down. So if that was working, Villa would have gone down, and Bournemouth would have actually stayed up. They were very lucky in that sense that they managed to stay up. Yes, it's still a great job that he did, but I also think even if Grealish stays at Aston Villa, I think they'll still go down. I think Leeds and Fulham are stronger than Watford and Bournemouth, and based on my logic there, that's the reason why I'm going to actually predict Aston Villa to go down in 19th place. 3 other teams, all from London, that I think will be in massive danger this season. I've got Crystal Palace, Fulham, and West Ham. Now, I mentioned West Ham a little bit earlier on with the stuff going on after the Danganga sale. They're frustrated that they're not making some key signings. Fulham, a couple years ago, they were awful in the Premier League 2 years ago. They spent all that money, 150, whatever it was, £1 million, and they went straight back down and were absolutely awful. The new players didn't gel with the current players that brought them there. But what I do like about Fulham is that they're not going gung-ho this year. Yes, it's a very similar team to the one that went down 2 years ago. However, they have played more together. I would be more fluent now with each other. Alexander Mitrovic is still there scoring the goals. Whether he still does it in the Premier League is another story. But he did do it for the first half of the season for Fulham 2 years ago. But the goals dried out. But one thing that I will say about Scott Parker is that when Mitrovic was out the last few games of the season, Fulham were actually winning games, and a couple of years ago they couldn't win a single game without Alexander Mitrovic. Now they can, and if they can transform that, and if they can do that in the Premier League, there's no reason why they can't stay up, and they'll probably be more comfortable than one of the 15th, 16th, 16th, 17th, or 18th. But I just think there's other teams that are stronger than the other 15 are stronger. I'm going to predict Fulham to stay up in 17th. West Ham to finish in 18th, and I haven't mentioned Crystal Palace yet, but Crystal Palace would be 16th. Now, Crystal Palace, they've had one of the worst runs of form since the restart. They had the second fewest goals of the Premier League last season. Only fewer was Norwich, who of course were rock bottom last year. Um, and if Zaha does leave, Palace are in trouble. Now they have signed Eze or Easy from QPR. Seems like a good kid. Seems like a great signing. But I think they need more than that. I really do. And with Zaha, I think will be out the door. Oh no, sorry. I think Zaha will probably stay. That's what I meant to say. And I think that he'll have enough there to keep them up. So I think they will finish in 16th, which means I am predicting West Ham to have the final relegation spot in 18th. Like I mentioned earlier, the transfers, just nothing's going right at that club right now. And Golden Sullivan, they've been thanking their lucky stars for years, and a lot of West Ham fans would probably agree with me. But I just think that their luck will run out next year. And it's a bold prediction. Not many people are predicting it, but I am. For West Ham to go down this season. It's a long time coming. Unless they make some big signings coming up, then it's not going to happen, lads. I'm sorry. I've got to go for Brighton and Hove Albion. I think they will be one of the teams. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Brighton will be safe with about 5-6 games to go. I think Graham Potter's a great manager. Obviously did great for Ostersund, getting a couple of results against Arsenal, of course. Also got results against us last season, done the double over us. I don't like to say it, but it's true. And they've got a decent squad. Mopai, as much as I don't like him, he's a decent player. Yes, they sold Darren Moy, but they brought in the experienced Adam Lallana, who I've always rated. And I think if he can stay fit, that's a great addition to the Brighton side. They play fluent attacking football. They play great football. And of course, they're bringing back Ben White, who they have rejected Leeds of getting. And they've also got Lewis Dunk, who's just signed a brand new contract at the back. So they've got a solid back line and not so bad midfield. And, Mopai will get enough goals to keep him up. So, yeah, Brighton, 15th. In 14th, I'm going for Leeds United. Now, do I rate their squad that highly? Not really. But Bielsa just gets them playing. And I rate Marcelo Bielsa. And I think he will have enough at his disposal to stay in the division. I know a lot of Leeds fans think that they'll walk the league or they'll get into Europe. But let's be real, lads. You haven't been in the Premier League since Arsenal last won the league in 2004. Yes, what happened to your club was awful. It really was, with the whole, the owner nearly completely making your club nothing. Like, it nearly happened. Liquidation nearly happened. And to come back where you belong is great. But it's going to take time to get back to the heights that you were. You're slowly getting there. But you're back in the Premier League. That was the goal. And now it's, for a couple of years, I think Leeds will just have to focus on staying in the division. They've made some quality signings with Rodrigo. They also haven't added too much like Fulham a couple of years ago. And a couple of other decent players. Yes, they've been trying to get Ben White. I've heard the talks they might be even trying to get Rob Holding. But none of that's materialised yet. I rate Calvin Phillips in midfield as well. Pablo Hernandez as well. But, mainly Marcelo Bielsa. He's the man that's going to keep you up. It's going to be mid-table. You're not going to go down. You're not going to get any Europe. It's going to be nice, comfortable mid-table in 14th place for Leeds United. Getting comfortable in the mid-table spots here. In 13th place, I've gone for Newcastle United. Now, they've made some pretty decent... They've literally, as I'm recording this, on the 7th of September, they've just signed Callum Wilson. Looks like they'll be signing Ryan Fraser as well. Callum Wilson's a very decent signing for Aston Villa. Not Aston Villa. He was linked with Aston Villa, that's where I'm getting confused. Very good signing for Newcastle if he can stay fit as well. Because obviously Wilson, he's always been a decent striker, but he's always struggled to stay fit. So we're looking to see if that happens. Alan St-Maximin, what a player. He's a fantastic player. He's still a Newcastle player as I'm recording this video. If they do somehow lose St-Maximin between now and October the 6th, they could well be in trouble. But Steve Brewster had a fantastic first season, and I think that will continue. There's no Saudi ownership, so they're definitely not going to rocket up the league. It will just be a comfortable 13th place for Newcastle. I've gone for Burnley. Now, there isn't really much to say about Burnley, is there? Sean Dyche does an amazing job to get the level of performances out of the players that he has at his disposal. Because like, he hasn't got that much there. But he always seemed... The thing about Burnley, they're not a team of individually class players, but they work very well as a team, and the way that Dyche play... Yes, it's boring football, but it gets them results and it keeps them in the Premier League. And to be honest, if they didn't have Sean Dyche, they probably wouldn't be in the Premier League. Or, like, if they somehow sacked Sean Dyche, they'd be down. What he does with those players is just absolutely brilliant. And then they've still got Nick Pope, they've still got James Tarkowski as I'm recording. Like I said, there's reports that Leicester might be after him, West Ham are after him. But Tarkowski, he's comfortable. And unless the likes of Leicester or any of the other top six or even Wolves, or maybe even Everton, those 8 clubs, if anyone else goes for him, he should stay at Burnley. And if any other club apart from the 8 clubs I've just mentioned, so the other 12 in the Premier League, if they try to go for Tarkowski, there's no reason why he should leave, because he's comfortable, he does a good job in a good team, and yeah, Sean Dyche, he's the main reason, same with Bielsa, why Burnley are staying in the Premier League. I spoke too much about Burnley, so we're going to move on. I have gone for last year's real surprise package in Sheffield United. Now, they surprised everybody. I predicted in my last Premier League predictions last year, which felt like an eternity ago because of everything that's happened, that they finished rock bottom. Now, I know I wasn't the only one that predicted that, but yeah, I predicted them rock bottom. They had an amazing season. I think they finished 9th in the end, and they dropped off, I think, after lockdown and the restart. They dropped off dramatically, unfortunately for them. And yeah, things just weren't happening. And I think they'll still have a good season. But the thing is about Sheffield United is they did overperform massively. And you've got to remember this, Sheffield United fans, that just because of how well you did last season doesn't mean it's going to happen again this season. I'm not predicting you to go down. I still think you'll have an outstanding season. But you can't expect it to be exactly the same. A 9th and then an 11th place finish, I think, is perfectly respectful for a team like Sheffield United. Chris Wilder, can't speak enough of the guy. Did an exceptional job getting them from League One to the Premier League and then having that amazing season last year. I don't think it'll be as good. I think it'll be slightly worse. And I think the fact that there'll be no crowd either, I think that affected Sheffield United quite a bit after the restart, because the fans always like to get behind the team, push the team forward, and without the fans, Sheffield United were a different team. But I mean, who knows when they're going to have a full capacity? That's a story for another video. But I still think they have enough there to at least have a solid mid-table finish in 11th. Fan in the middle, I have gone for Southampton. Now, they had Ralph Hasenhüttl done a fantastic job last season. He really did. After the 9-0 defeat, and I know everyone mentions it, but it's got to be mentioned, against Leicester around Christmas time, everyone and their dog thought he was out the door. But fair play to the ownership at Southampton. They actually gave him an opportunity. The players stayed on side, and they really turned it around after the restart, and even before the restart as well. Was picking up form. Yes, then the lockdown happened, but that didn't seem to bother them too much because they still played well, and they ended up finishing around a comfortable mid-table finish last season. And I think they might even potentially push for the Europa spots as well. If they can have a consistent season, there's no reason why they can't push for the Europa spots or the Europa League. Ralph Hasenhüttl, like I said, has done an amazing job. Yes, they've lost Højbjerg to Spurs, and I don't really know who else they've brought in, but they've confirmed Ward-Prowse to be staying on next brand new contract. Fantastic news. And with Danny Ings up front, their top goal scorer, who I nearly forgot to mention, if he bangs goals in, he's going to keep you in the league, and he'll be a comfortable 10th place. With through 9th to 7th. So the 3 teams I've got in contention for this one is Wolves, Everton, and Leicester. So, first of all, 9th place, Leicester City. Now, I know they were in the top 4 for the majority of last season, but that fall from grace was absolutely atrocious for Leicester. Brendan Rodgers, I don't know what he was doing. It was just absolutely awful. And I just don't understand it. Like, after the restart, they were one of the worst teams. And they could have even had the chance to redeem themselves and stay in the top 4 in the last game, but they still lost to Manchester United. So they didn't even have that to redeem themselves. Vardy, yes, he was still banging the goals and whatnot. I just think Wolves and Everton are set up better right now than Leicester. And for that reason, I'm putting Leicester in ninth place. A slight spoiler of who the top six are. Obviously, I've put the big six, but you'll know in a few minutes who I've done it for. But yeah, Leicester, ninth place. Eighth place, I've gone for Everton, just behind Wolves. Every year, everyone, including myself, says Everton, oh, look at the squad that they've got at their disposal. Look at the squad they're making. They're doing fantastically. Look at the signings they're making. But it all falls. It all just crumbles down on Everton Football Club. I'm not going to try and say the same thing. I think an 8th place finish, some Everton fans won't be best pleased with that because they want to push into the top 6. I think the signings of Alan from Napoli, they could well be signing Decore from Watford, and James Rodriguez from Real Madrid are great signings. Revolutionises your midfield. That's your midfield three you're signing in one summer. Great. Absolutely great. Calvert-Lewin scoring the goals up front. Great. But Jordan Pickford. I just don't rate Jordan Pickford, and that defence will leak goals. It really will. Unless they bring in the likes of like Tarkowski or someone like that, then they will struggle still in defence, and that's what I think is going to let Ancelotti down this season. Very good coach. I wouldn't be disheartened on an 8th place finish. I think they'll definitely push for the Europe spots. And of course, 8th place unless a team outside the top 8 will win the FA Cup. Top 8th would be a Europa spot. So, yeah, I think they'll get Europe. I think they'll get Europa League. And I think it'll be an okay season for Carlo Ancelotti. Whether it be good enough for him, who knows? But I think that's the best he can do with this team. And then in 7th place, the best of the rest, as they say, as in before the top 6, is Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, I'm putting them in 7th because a lot of people seem to be writing off this Wolves team. There's every chance they could break into that top 6. The reason why I say this is because Arsenal won the FA Cup, as we know, and that meant that Wolves dropped out of the Europa League. Last season, Wolves, at the start of the year, barely won a game, or didn't win a game in the first 6. They drew about 5 out of 5. The first 5 games, I believe, or something like that. Someone will correct me in the comments. They drew all 5. They had the Europa League qualification rounds. They were focusing on Europe, focusing on the league. Everything was all over the place for Wolves. So I think that with having no Europe whatsoever, it gives them a chance to focus on the league, focus on the cups. Wouldn't surprise me if they go all out, or if they try and go for an FA Cup or something like that this season. They're making progress, and it's looking like maybe Raul Jimenez could be out the door, but they've just signed Fabio Silva from Porto, 18-year-old, £14 million or euros, one of the two. Big expectation on the kid, but they clearly rate him enough to pay that money for him, so fair play to him. And they just seem to a team they've got a magnificent project under Nuno. And I think 7th place is a very respectable position for Wolves. So yeah, Wolves 7th place. So we get into the big 6, the top 6. The first big team out of the top 6 I've gone for is Tottenham. Right? Jose Mourinho, as I was saying. Very interesting one with Spurs. Now, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm going to be biased, obviously. But I just think that... with Jose, I just think that he hasn't got it. He hasn't got it. They've made 2 very decent, solid signings, right? In Doherty, I forgot where Wolves lost Doherty, but yeah, they gained Doherty from Wolves. They also bought Højbjerg from Southampton. Premier League proven players that that can do it at the top level. Very smart signings, right? I haven't heard of who else they could be potentially signing, but. Yeah, very smart signings. I just think that they need that one bang, that one big signing. If they get that, they could probably potentially push into the top 4, but they haven't got it yet. Which is why I'm saying 6th place to top. Now I think that they haven't got enough there. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Jose goes on a real bad run. They ends up getting sacked again, and then the 2 teams that will be fighting tooth and nail with each other for Champions League football is Manchester United and my team. Arsenal. So, again, probably going to be biased here. I predicted Arsenal to finish in the top 4 last year. We finished 9th. 8th. They finished 8th or 9th. I didn't look at the Premier League table at the end of the season. There was a reason for that. We won the FA Cup. It's all forgotten. Mikel Arteta, I think, is doing a fantastic job. But before I get into Arsenal, 5th place, Manchester United. Now, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, right? But I don't think Manchester United are going to sign Jadon Sancho, and I'm sure if they do, this will get clipped. So, you know what? I'm all for it. Go for it. It's a bit of fun. So, Manchester United, right? Even if they do sign Jadon Sancho, if they do sign Jadon Sancho, they're going to get top four. That's my opinion anyway. I don't think it's going to happen. They also need to sort out their defence. If they're better off trying to sort out their defence, that isn't happening. They've brought in Donny van der Beek, who's a very good signing, but is he a defensive midfielder? I'm genuinely asking in the comment section. Man United fans, tell me, because I've researched it. He doesn't seem like a defensive midfielder to me. So you're telling me that you're going to play Fernandes, Pogba, and Van der Beek? Where's the DM? There is no DM. You've still got Matic, who's Asian. It's not going to happen, lads. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a worse manager than Mikel Arteta. There, I said it. Man United 5th, 4th place, Arsenal. And I'll tell you why, because Mikel Arteta is the man to take Arsenal back to the top. At the moment, we've only signed, well I say only, we've signed Gabriel from Lille, Willian on a free, signed Ceballos on loan, we've made Cedric permanent and Mari permanent, but the way he plays, he just gets this club, he really does. And I think we're making one big signing. Whether it's Partey, whether it's Aouar, if we end up signing both, there's no reason why we can't even push the top 3. I honestly believe that. And with Aubameyang potentially, hopefully signing that new contract very soon, it will just boost our players so much. It will change the whole culture of the club. We're selling loads of players, we're bringing those in, and yes, it could go wrong. And if we don't get top 4, we're winning the Europa League. We go to the top 3. Third place, I'm going to go for Chelsea. They've made some fantastic signings. This summer. And I'm not going to say they're ruining the league because they didn't have a transfer window. They missed 4 transfer windows. And yes, I know they signed Kovacic, but let's just forget that happened. They had all that Eden Hazard money. They've brought in Ziyech from Ajax. They've brought in Kai Havertz from Leverkusen. They've brought in Timo Werner from RB Leipzig. And I'm sure I'm missing another. They've brought in Thiago Silva from PSG. They've brought in Sarr, who's a young prospect they've brought from Nice on a free. And he's going to go back on loan. And they've also, I'm forgetting, they've also signed Ben Chilwell, which is also weak in Leicester, dramatically. So, they've made some quality signings. But the thing is, the one thing I still concern Chelsea to, yes, Thiago Silva, exceptional centre-half, will give fantastic experience to this team. And yes, he is 35 years of age, but he will do even better than what, obviously, he will give the experience of the likes of what Luiz does with Arsenal. I'm not comparing Luiz with Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva is definitely by far the better centre half. But I'm talking in terms of age. Age doesn't matter in this sense. He'll give quality and experience to that defence. I still think they need more though. I wouldn't, if I was a Chelsea fan, I still wouldn't trust Kepa as a Liga Balaga. I got it right first time. But he's still only young, and there's no reason why he can't push on. And I think getting a new goalkeeper might just kill the guy's confidence completely. So I think that's a bit dangerous. But I just think their defence is a bit too weak. If they sort it out, if they got one more quality centre-back, they're challenging for the title. The thing is, though, with this, all these players coming in, I think 7 in total, and with more to come potentially, it's all about making them gel. And you've also got the young players like Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, and who played well last season. Of course, you've still got Pulisic as well, who's very good. They've lost William, but like I said, they brought in, and they've lost Pedro, but they've brought in Ziyech and other players like that. I think they will push Man City and Liverpool to the limits this season. I really do, but I just think the top 2 will be too much for Chelsea, and that's why I'm predicting them to finish a solid 3rd for Frank Lampard. We'll probably try and win a cup as well, who knows. But yeah, 3rd place Chelsea. Down to the final 2, Liverpool and Manchester City. Last year's winners versus the year before's winners. Pep Guardiola has a massive year ahead of him. He really does. They have to win the Premier League, or at least win the Champions League. Otherwise, for me, he's out of a job. You don't spend all this money and demand so much from your board if you're not getting results. And for that reason, I'm predicting Liverpool to retain the Premier League title next season. I'll tell you why. Man City will finish 2nd because Pep Guardiola, same as last year, will go all out for that Champions League. Whether they bottle it in the quarters or the semis remains to be seen, probably. But they've got to go for the Champions League. That is why Manchester City brought Pep Guardiola in. They won Premier League titles under Mancini and Pellegrini. They brought in Pep Guardiola to win the Champions League, and he hasn't done it. It looks like they're not going to sign Lionel Messi now, but if they were, I would have definitely had them to win the league. But I just think that more eyes, and it wouldn't even surprise me if Chelsea finish above Manchester City. I was very close to putting Chelsea second for my reasoning. But I think they'll still have enough there to focus on. And then also, they've brought in their Nathan Ake and they've brought in Ferran Torres from Manchester City. No, from Valencia, sorry. He's just gone to Manchester City. So, they haven't really spent much. But I think it's the final month of the window. Who knows if they might go for Aouar? I know Arsenal are. But we'll see what happens with that. If they bring in a few more players, a few more quality players, they still need to replace Leroy Sané, of course, then they will definitely win. I reckon they will win the league. But I just think it's all about all the other teams trying to close that gap to Liverpool. Because it was an absolute joke last year. An absolute joke. And I think if teams do that, they can say they've had a good season, like Chelsea, like I just mentioned. If they can close that gap from... I don't know how many points Chelsea were behind Liverpool, but let's say they were 25 points behind Liverpool. They were probably more. If they then close that to 10, or maybe under 10, and still finish top 3, that's a very good season for Lampard and Chelsea. But with Manchester City, it's all about winning the Premier League. I just don't think that they will have it to beat Liverpool again next year. I think it's Liverpool's year again. I think they will equal him, because last year was their 19th league title. And if they win the league next year, they will equal Manchester United. And after that big thing that happened years ago, when Manchester United crawled back Liverpool's record and beat it, that will still be in every Liverpool fan's mind. And I'm sure Jurgen Klopp will know this and will inject this into the players. We need to equal that record. We need to catch Manchester United and we need to get past 20. And if they win the league title this year, they'll go to 20 league titles. And I think that's enough incentive there to go and win the league. Have they signed anybody? No, they haven't. Thiago Alcantara, the Bayern Munich player who was absolutely brilliant in the Champions League final and is a brilliant player overall, 29 years of age, they're asking for 20 mil, they can get him for free next year. I reckon they'll buy the bullet and sign him, with Wijnaldum probably going to Barcelona. That's what it's looking like. So, a like for like, I think Thiago is definitely a better player than Wijnaldum. So this is an upgrade there, potentially. Again, this is all speculation. But there you have it. That is my Premier League predictions. That's going to be it for this video. Let me know your predictions for the Premier League season. It's coming up. It starts on Saturday. I can't wait for it. My review for the Fulham game will probably be a bit late, Arsenal fans, because I've got a few things on Saturday. A few things going on. I might even miss the game completely, so you might not get a review. But I thought I'd bring out my Premier League prediction video. Like this video if you enjoyed. If you disagree or agree with any of the positions, feel free to debate. I will be answering to all the comments down below. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. I've been the True Gooner. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.